Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. I told y'all I was coming back to talk about Mr. Kawhi Leonard. That's right. That's right. We gotta get to the bottom of this, or at least try, because it's a whole lot of everything that I have. Listen, before we get into all that, like and subscribe to the podcast now, okay? Tell somebody else and let them tell somebody else to come on over here and subscribe to A Win is a Win. Hit the notification bell so you know when it's a new episode coming out. That's the first order of business. Now, the second order of business is when we're on Spotify now. That's where you can catch the audio, and there's clips over there too. We're on Apple Podcast over there. Let me see where else. iHeartRadio, you can pull up over there, or just wherever you choose to get your podcast. Go ahead and pull on up. All we do is talk about sports, y'all, and have a good time. That is the nature of the business on this podcast, and we don't do nothing else now. Sprinkle in a little bit of music here and there, maybe. We don't get into nobody else's business, just sports. If you really like what you hear, hit the subscribe button. Flick it, flick it, flick it now. Just flick it. Don't cost you a thing. That's it. Not charge you a dime. Just pull on up and have a good time. I did not mean for that to rhyme. Mr. Kawhi Leonard, come on to the front now. Come on now, sit down. Because I have no idea what you got going on, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to try to. Because, and so that y'all know, I had to pull up my computer because Mr. Pablo Torre has a whole lot of extensive journalism on this story. And in order to keep this podcast information honest, we need to pull up the notes on this one in between takes. Because, Mr. Kawhi, I don't know what you got going on. You and the Clippers and Mr. Ballmer, but we gonna go through this now. So, this is like a 2-week investigation, and it is alleged by the investigation by Pablo Torre that the Clippers used the now bankrupt company Aspiration. They're used to funnel, millions of dollars of payments tied to Mr. Leonard. That the reporting says were designated to circumvent the NBA cap. Now, the NBA has opened an investigation, and if you ask me, just from what I have seen Adam Silver speak to, it seems like he's uninterested in bringing all of this up less than a couple of weeks away from, the NBA season, at least practices getting started. He could care less unless the rabbit hole goes deeper and we find out that you too, sir, may have something to do with it. Well, it could change how the league policies deal with superstars and, how their deals are structured. But what I want to do is just walk through the timeline of all this stuff, because when I tell y'all, I read through all of Pablo Torre's investigative reporting. Now, the evidence that he has is circumstantial. That much is true. But let me tell you, circumstantial evidence in this particular situation, oh boy, here's what he's reported. Now, again, we do a lot of reading because we do not want to misstep in any of this. So, Torre's reporting claims that Kawhi had an off-book agreement tied to aspiration, described as a no-show endorsement. So basically, that would have roughly paid him about $28 million, pretty much over several years. Now, that payment reporting alleges was structured through this fake company, or this company that is supposed to be about renewable energy or whatever, rather than through Leonard's contract, going around the block, spinning the block, going around Cox Robbins Barnes for this money instead of going through it the legal way. Now, the reporting points to a paper trail that the Clippers and affiliated investors sent money to aspiration, including significant purchases of carbon credits and other investments between the window of 2021 and 23. Now, those payments are basically a mechanism, if you will, that enabled money to go to Leonard, basically without appearing on the books. I'm gonna run that back. Run me some bread and act like it's not here. It's like a fake job. It's a job that doesn't exist that he's getting paid for. Aspiration, though, subsequently collapsed and filed for bankruptcy. Now, the company has since faced fraud allegations against its founder. Now, from what I understand, he was hitting up mad entertainers, athletes, you name it, any billionaires, anybody with money. Invest in my company, something about planting trees and renewable energy and getting these carbon credits to whatever, okay? And also, if you think about that new Clippers arena, that name, pay attention to the jersey, is all over the jerseys. Hold on a minute. My thing is, every single endorsement, especially of that magnitude, has to be approved by the NBA, especially if it's on the back of seats, if it is embedded into the arena, it's on documentation, and it's on the jersey. Yeah, something don't smell clean in the kitchen. The Clippers say that they were duped by aspiration and deny any type of wrongdoing. Kawhi's camp has not publicly admitted to improper conduct. Now, why would they? Your uncle, what was his uncle name? Uncle Danny or something like that. Whatever his uncle name, he was demanding a lot of stuff. Oh, yes, sir, he was. And before he signs this contract, he needs a private plane. He needs his own deal here. We need to make sure you have $5 million over here, run $2 million over there. Like, it was extortion. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, the paper trail and the money flow always follow the money. Well, if you're wondering why the paper trail, though, matters, is because the NBA salary cap is enforced by the money and the documentation. So basically, if you want to look at it like this, a team's value, if a team is, how do I want to say this? If a team is giving value to a player off the books, basically that's an extra salary that undermines the competitive balance. Hope that makes sense, okay? So basically, getting back to Pablo's reporting. So Documents and transactional evidence suggest payments and transfers between the Clippers and affiliated investors and aspiration, including a reported $21 million in payment and a larger purchase that add up to more than $50 million in carbon credits or similar arrangements follow the money. Now, those transactions are what the investors are now tracing to see whether any of it is actually intended to funnel to Leonard. But if you think about it, and if you go to Pablo Torre's YouTube, it's called Pablo Torre Finds Out. He actually breaks down the bank receipts. And it shows that when this company went bankrupt, Kawhi Leonard's uncle started calling Aspiration like, hold on, you still owe us money. So what happened, Aspiration gets a hold of another investor, which is a 1% owner of the Clippers, gets that person, Chang or Wang or whatever his name is, they get him to donate and make it was a $1 or $2 million contribution to Aspiration. Let's just use a date, August the 1st. August the 3rd, that same amount of money minus $500 goes to Kawhi Leonard after his uncle presses them about a payment that was due. It went to Kawhi Leonard's LLC. The allegation is now we pay Kawhi directly in cash. It's more nuanced. And legitimate business transaction, investment in or purchase from Aspiration allegedly created the funding structure for Aspiration to pay Leonard for little to no work, a classic no-show vendor setup, if this is true. So that's exactly the type of arrangement the NBA rules and previous precedents were written to actually stop. Now, you really got to, think about that whole Joe Smith Timberwolves situation that happened as like you would think that would be something of caution if you were Kawhi Leonard and his uncle and you're trying to play the system and use that as a cautionary method. Like, even if we are doing something that's crazy, maybe we need to use this as a real example, as a sign of caution to say, yeah, this might not be worth it, because if they do find out, I'm cooked. But what does cooked really look like, though? Because like I said, Adam Silver is aware of this. He knows about it. But to every single press conference or question that he's been asked about this situation, he seems very uninterested. He's deflecting to like, oh, this is going to be the new process to our All-Star game, like U.S. versus Euro, like just kind of like deflecting. In other words, stop asking me about it. So Mark Cuban jumps in, which he should have just minded his entire business because he wanted to pick with Pablo Torre. But see, then when you run your mouth, you run it too much. Now, this is where public reaction gets you and possibly other owners and or the NBA or your homeboy Ballmer in trouble. So he publicly posted on X, reacting to the report, intending to challenge or mock Torre's reporting. And it actually tipped Torre and others to additional public documentation and lines of inquiry that strengthened the paper trail. So in other words, because you are running your mouth, you basically tipped off the investigators to more information that they were not privy to begin with. See, sometimes you just need to mind your business and shut up. Cuban's reaction, while defensive of Ballmer in tone, produced leads that reports the following. Cuban's public comments and critiques have been followed widely on X and covered the follow reporting. Some outlets described his tweets as inadvertently pointing Torre to sources. Cuban himself appeared to defend Ballmer in parts while criticizing the framing of the reporting. So, because now here's why I went all the way around the exact wording with that. You got to be smart when you're working on these microphones and these podcasts, because people like Mark Cuban, if you quote him verbatim, you're either going to get a cease and desist or you're going to get a copyright and your video will be taken down. You got to be smarter than that sometimes. So the NBA has publicly said they're investigating it, penalties that can change the franchise's future, again, relating to that Joe Smith case. That said, the league has major incentives to be careful. LA is a flagship market. It's political, and there's other legal reasons why the NBA just basically did not want to get caught up in this. Outside counsel and extended reviews by the league time, but don't mean that, this matter is a minor thing, although they may seem to be treating it like that. Here's my scenarios. A, lightweight enforcement and fine and public reprimand make it, the optics look bad. B, major sanctions, lost picks, restrictions on contracts, definitely reputation damage for real. And then you got the ripple effect for the Clippers' competitiveness. Something is going to happen. And then you got to deal with Kawhi, his legacy. You've played 44 games. You're always hurt. And you're uninterested in basketball, in my opinion. You're doing everything so that you cannot play. So if that's the question, if that's your angle, then my question is, why not just quit? Why not just quit? Because does how the money move change how you value the title or a signing? Would you rather the league punish or clarify the rules for you so that you know what you are supposed to be doing and what you are not supposed to be doing, because you need clarification or a slap on the wrist that you did something wrong so you can move on and actually play the sport that you claim you love? I don't like it. It's dusty. It's musty. If the allegations centered around all of this is true, and he did this along with Ballmer and whoever else is involved, musty, dusty. Get him up out of here. But until then, it's all alleged. We don't know, but it looks real ugly right now. And the fact that he hasn't said anything could be smart on him. I'm not admitting to anything. I get that point, but at the same time, it don't look good, y'all. That's going to end it for this week's episode. I just wanted to jump in here really quick. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Do you think he did it? Let me know down there in the chat, y'all.